Well, the March for Australia is back. There's going to be another march on Sunday, the 19th of October, next Sunday. And joining me in the studio at the Other Side Studios here in Brisbane, once again, the city that is home to both the NRL and the AFL Premiership trophies, but I don't want to rub that in too much. But we've got our good mate of the show, Scott Challen, local businessman and all-round great guy, and organiser of the March for Australia, also known online as Shallowchal. Welcome, Scotty. Good to have you back.
Thanks, Damien. Great to be back here again, talking about something that we're passionate about.
Yeah.
Australia.
And we've got in Sydney, Joel Jamal joining us, mate. How are you? Very good to have you from Turning Point Australia.
No, very good, Damien. Thanks again for having me back. Pleasure.
All right, guys. So last time around with the last March for Australia, it was all this controversy about, are the neo-Nazis in charge? Should we march? Shouldn't we march? This time things are a little bit more straightforward, right? And a bit better organised. Do you want to sort of kick off on giving us the background of where we're at on that, Scott?
Well, we'd like to think that we're better organised. We've certainly put a lot of effort into creating a great event for October the 19th. March for Australia will be going ahead nationally in every capital city in Australia, as well as multiple regional centres. This is a movement that is growing, that people are engaging with, and we are activating the Australian Patriots out there to get behind their flag and support their country, because we're drawing a line in the sand and enough is enough. It's time to move.
Yep. And Joel, in Sydney, I know the Brisbane one last time we talked about on the show was very, family oriented. There were a few unsavoury types that showed up, but they weren't able to sort of get any traction or have any control. There was a little bit of concern in Sydney about the neo-Nazi guy grabbing the mic and then the media focusing only on him. But of course, it was basically a pretty good event last time. This time, though, you're 100% behind it because you had your own concerns last time.
Yeah, no, look, last time I just said, look, if you're an adult, it's a free country. Go if you want to go. That's what I said on the program last time I was here. But look, we were right. The hot centres of Sydney and Melbourne, there was scuffles, especially in Melbourne. There was very clearly violence. But now that we know what happened and what could happen, we're kind of a bit more comfortable being like, hey, last time it was a very big PR success. We saw a lot of great people that marched. We saw millions of views of people, including a lot of immigrants, saying, hey, we've got to end immigration. We've actually got to stop it here. We've been here for 30, 40 years, some people saying. There was one Indian lady, there was 1 million views on this clip of her in Sydney just saying, hey, immigration's completely run away. We've got to bring it back. And I think that as a PR win, it was a very big PR win. And so, look, for this particular March for Australia, we know what we're getting. We know that the vast majority of Australians, they do want immigration to be ended, pulled back, even stopped. And I think that is something we've got to really lean into. However, I will still maintain, if you're in Melbourne, don't take your kids. I strongly recommend not taking your kids. I think every other city is going to be perfectly fine for kids and all of that. But for my own conscience, I just wanted to make that absolutely clear.
Okay. So, but who's organising it, Joel, in Sydney? I mean, in Melbourne, do you know?
My understanding in Sydney is it is going to be the same as last time. Beck Freedom Online, she's seen that I've thrown my support and I've said people should go to Sydney. In Melbourne, it's still a bit like last time, a little bit shadowy. Scotty might have a better idea of exactly the Melbourne side, but again, it's not entirely clear exactly who or where they're marching exactly in Melbourne and who the actual face of it is. But again, I have not been following it as closely as I probably should have.
Scott, do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you need to remember as well is that this movement has been targeted hard by politicians, by the media, by the mainstream that do not want to see ordinary Australians put their heads above the parapet and say that we have a problem here. So the secrecy behind organisation, the controversy that surrounds that, I know that people want exposure and they want to be able to say, okay, there's a face here. We need to remember that these people are being targeted. I've copped a lot of flack online and the businesses have been hit as well because that's how the opposition to these movements operates in Australia. So
when you say you've got flack, who from?
Well, what we've seen is a coordinated movement against us by people like the Palestinian Action Group and the left in Australia and the mainstream media. They want to go after people that are questioning the narrative around mass immigration. Now, we also need to understand what mass immigration is in Australia. There's the immigration where we're bringing residents in, and then there's the temporary visa holders. We really need to delineate that because this is the real problem here. 2.7 million people in Australia are on temporary visa in temporary visas here right now. That's 10% of the Australian population. Now, if we're going to say, or the government's going to tweak this permanent arrivals number, from 200,000 back to 100,000, but still bring in 2 million temporary visa holders, nothing changes. We need to be really clear about what our focus is here, and that's getting control of our borders, because clearly the government doesn't have it right now. Now, if you go against the narrative or the vested interest that makes money, that spreads ideology, that undermines our Australian culture by bringing in lots and lots of people from overseas, then we become the natural target of their focus.
Okay.
So we've got to be really clear about
it from
this.
the left,
Copying it,
and you're copying it from the far right too.
and we're copying it from every direction right now. Your average Australian is sitting in the centre here, just getting beaten up by all of these special interests, by all of these people pulling the strings in the government here, and they are just trying to tell us that we are all racist and all Nazis. That's really easy to label everyone and try to get us to pull back while all of these special interests take over our country.
It's a very delicate debate because it does attract racists and Nazis.
Of course it does.
And it's hard because, a lot of us are immigrants. We've all, if you go back and you could look at a lot of
everybody says that. You all come from immigrants. You all come from immigrants. What we actually come from is
we don't all
settlers.
come from immigrants.
We come from settlers.
We mostly do, and it's many generations, and you're right, they're settlers.
Yeah.
There's
They forged a nation.
I like that distinction. Yeah,
they forged a nation out of somewhere that was completely barren, completely hostile, and didn't really want you here. We've built a fantastic country. We're sick of pretending that it isn't awesome, and it's time to raise our flag for our people. Look, these other states, I'm not in control of them. I can only work with my group here in Brisbane, in Queensland. But we know, as Joel mentioned, that we have seen successful events in other states, and we're encouraging people to turn out for that. This is the time to stand for your country.
We don't seem to have any concerns. We're not hearing any problems coming out of Perth, Adelaide. Canberra was great last time, I know that. Bettina Art went down there. She told me it was excellent.
Yep.
So Brisbane was great. Sydney was pretty good.
The
it
regionals
really just seems to be
as
Melbourne
well.
that's the centre of problem. But in Melbourne last time, there was also that situation of the Antifa or the rally, the PAG rally. I don't know if they have PAG in Melbourne, but the Palestine and
Action
Left
Yep.
rally that happened. I don't know who was organising that, but it was on the same day. And we had that situation where those two rallies came together, and that's where the violence was. The cops didn't keep them apart. And I think you made the point afterwards when we were on the show, you were sort of saying, well, that might have been not accidental that they weren't keeping them apart.
Well, let's face it, the Victorian government is a socialist communist government that hates nationalist movements. They hate
Shallowchal, at Shallowchal, for all our Melbourne and Victorian viewers that would like to respond to that one, just don't send the mail to me.
Mate, look, I was born in Victoria. I love Victoria.
Yeah, I love Victoria too. I lived there twice.
And I grew up, I spent some time growing up there. I love going down to Melbourne. I really do. But I'm also acutely aware that it is intrinsically bad for nationalists and for Australians right now. The government down there hates us. And so they're going to do everything they can to try and disrupt this movement, which means encouraging action groups like we saw down in Melbourne to turn up and to counter-protest it and to be violent in their behaviour.
All right, let's just say that this is going to be a good event. There's no reason not to go. Maybe if you're in Melbourne, don't take your kids, like Joel says, but it's going to be fine. Everywhere else is going to be a lot of fun, actually. You had a great time.
I would march in Melbourne in a heartbeat, mate. I would not hesitate to turn up in Melbourne. And maybe next time you'll see me in Melbourne. I'd love to march down there.
You can go to areas. You can stay away from the trouble zone of any big march or rally. There might be a few jerks, and you just
there's going to be jerks in Brisbane. 50
ragtag, we have jerks in Brisbane?
50 ragtag, badly smelling, semi-commie, face masked Antifa types with their soy lattes are going to turn up pretending that they're hard, and they're not. They're soft, and they'll be told.
Yeah, once again, at Shallowchal, if you want to.
That's right. That's Shallowchal.
That's right.
I'm not scared.
Sorry, Joel, jump in, mate. Yeah.
Mate, if I can just say, people have to turn out, especially in Melbourne, because we know the majority of people in Australia, including the majority of immigrants, they do want to actually see the immigration to be lowered. But we need these protests to be a cross-section of Australia. We want to put the best possible foot forward so more people can come on board from the mainstream. Now, look, when I see what happened in Melbourne last time, there is safety in numbers. So you should come out. Absolutely, you should come out. But as I said last time, look, we saw a lot of violence. And again, look, I'm no fan of the NSN, but they had an argument to say, hey, we had to secure the area. Like, if we just had average good people rock up and we didn't secure that area, they would have been beaten up by Antifa. And it's as simple as that. And so Melbourne is a unique case. You have to apply yourself now. You cannot wait in 3 years. You may not have that chance. You have to apply yourself now. You need to make yourself known. And look what happened. We've had 2 weeks of non-stop articles, non-stop discussion by our politicians talking about immigration, whereas previously they weren't touching it.
Yeah.
We need a referendum on immigration. We need to actually bring this to the forefront. And I'm very excited to see what happens after the 19th. And don't forget that after that protest, we've got Albanese being grilled by Trump in the White House on the 20th, which is going to be the 21st Australian time.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is going to be, I think Shallowchal said that was his favorite tweet all week that he saw.
I can't wait to see that because, as we know, Trump is the master of the ambush in the White House there in the Oval Room. If he gets Elbow there and we manage to get some footage of the March for Australia up on the television and Elbow goes, and Trump says, why aren't you listening to your people, Prime Minister Albanese? Could you imagine the look on his face? So, Patriots out there, let's see if we can't retweet that when we throw up that content.
Yeah, that'd be exceptional. I want to talk a little bit about, look, I mean, the whole world, we've been talking on the show this week about this craziness that's going on with the left, and things are getting bad. In the United States, we've got Tucker Carlson talking about, there's 2 divided nations and we're heading for civil war. We've got people in the UK, academics, talking about civil war. I think all that's a bit overblown because I think we can still have our parliaments and our Congress to sort of sort these things out. But we've got pretty serious stuff going on. I don't think people realise. We only hear about the threat of the domestic threat of the far right in Australia. We don't hear about the domestic threat of the far left. And the far left are a lot more organised. They do these attacks better. I mean, you guys are much closer to that, thankfully, than I am, because I sit in the mainstream a bit more. But tell me what you've experienced and how bad you think this far left thing is going. Maybe start with you, Joel. I mean,
look, Donald Trump's listed Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. This has come not long after the shooting of Charlie Kirk. I'm not sure if that's connected or not. But when I look at what's going on in Australia, Albanese is shown no appetite to deal with the far left, 0. They've set up a new department in the federal police to basically go after those that are inciting discord online in the social media world. And we all know who this is going to target. We all know who this is going to target. It's going to target Christians. It's going to target nationalists. It's going to target anyone that demonstrates any kind of pride in their white skin color, anything at all. And that's a problem. It's got to be opposed because the country was literally made by those people. So they are destroying the very thing that made Australia great. That is an enemy to anyone that was attracted to this country in the first place, and it has to be opposed.
Yep.
Yeah, our she'll be right attitude's definitely been weaponised against us, especially on the conservative side of politics. Look, the far left are the far left. They're encouraged and they're fed by, the political class in this country. They own the bureaucracies. They own the universities. They own the, as you said before, Damien, on your own show, they literally own the centres of power in this country right now. And that's because we've bowed down to it. We've succumbed to it. We've kind of let that fly. But this movement is all about trying to activate people to say enough is enough, get engaged in your local communities and draw the line and say, hey, I'm not happy with the way this looks. Look, Antifa are a terrorist organisation. They need to be labelled as such in Australia and they need to be shut down. But, our government panders to them because that's the ideology of the universities that they've come through.
All right. Okay, guys, we'd love to talk more about this stuff, but I do want to move on to other topics. I want you to stick around and join us because we've got some a very interesting story coming up in a moment about our Sex Discrimination Commissioner. So we'll get into that in a sec. If you like The Other Side, one of the best ways you can support us is by signing up for the products of our sponsors. And one of our best sponsors is PIA VPN, the virtual private network that stops people spying on your internet activity. It'll keep you and your family truly safe from the prying eyes of big governments and corporations without slowing down your internet speeds. And you can watch Netflix or other streaming services using your regular accounts with them as if you're viewing from any country in the world. You can sign up for less than $3 a month and get a whopping 83% off the normal price. Just go to piavpn.com/otherside to sign up and you'll get the discount. And you'll get more info on those special deals if you check it out. That's piavpn.com/otherside. As we mentioned at the start of the show, federal parliament sat this week. Always a lot of fun and games in the House and the Senate, and especially in the committee hearing rooms where pollies get to grill the bureaucrats, the pen-pushing public servant management types on our behalf, allegedly. Putting the Karens and the Kevins, whose whole lives depend on making up rules and regulations to keep the rest of us in line, in the spotlight and making them accountable for a minute or two. And this week, it was the Sex Discrimination Commissioner's turn. Now, you'd think somebody who got paid more than $400,000 a year to be the Sex Discrimination Commissioner would be able to discriminate on sex. They'd, at the very basic level, understand what a man is and what a woman is. Well, you'd be wrong. Our Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Dr. Anna Cody, has a Bachelor of Arts and a law degree and a PhD from the esteemed University of New South Wales. She even went to Harvard for a while. She's not short of an education, but it seems her education was confined to neo-Marxist left-wing gender ideology and critical theory. Because when she was asked about a recent high-profile sex discrimination court case by One Nation Senator Malcolm Roberts, she had a little trouble with her answers.
Roxanne Tickle is not a man. She is a trans woman, and so she has gone through various processes and has transitioned, and she's a trans woman.
What sort of chromosomes does she have? XX or XY?
I can't answer that, Senator.
You can't?
No, I can't answer that.
Wow. Let's come back to that. Can someone who was born in XY chromosomes change to XX chromosomes? A male change to female?
I don't believe so, but I'm not a scientist. If their chromosomes are XY, then their chromosomes, I don't believe they can change, but as I repeat, I'm not a scientist.
She keeps saying she's not a scientist. You don't have to be a scientist to know that XX chromosomes can't be changed to XY. You just need access to Google. And for $400,000 of your tax money every year, I think this nice woman might be able to afford a computer or a phone, don't you?
If a woman took a case to court today, Dr. Cody, trying to stop a person with a penis who identified as a female going into a women's bathroom, which side would you be arguing for if you were there as a friend of the court?
Could you repeat that,
Sure.
Senator?
If a woman took a case to court today, trying to stop a person with a penis who identified as a female going into a woman's bathroom, which side would you be arguing for if you were the friend of the court?
I would need to know more facts, Senator. I can't make a judgment on that in particular.
Joining me to discuss this madness are our special guest panel this week from Sydney, the host of the ARC podcast and head of Turning Point Australia, Mr. Joel Jamal, and in our studio in the Great River City, the Olympic City, the home of both the AFL and the NRL premiers, not to rub it in, Mr. Scott Challen, entrepreneur, commentator, also known as Shallowchal online. Guys, and you are the organiser of the Brisbane leg, I should point out, of the March for Australia, which is happening Sunday, October 19, giving it a bit of a plug. Get out, folks. It's a march for Australia for many different issues, for many different reasons, but primarily around the immigration issue, the excess immigration issue. No one's opposed to immigration. It's just the excess mass immigration. And it's a family-oriented sort of event. You can see the website on screen now, and the locations are there on that website, marchforaustralia.org.
Yeah, bring your family, bring your daughters, bring the real women with you, and come and have a great time. We've got a live band playing as well, doing some great Aussie rock covers, and it's going to be a really awesome day, October 19th.
So how do you feel about the Sex Discrimination Commissioner not knowing what a man is or what a woman is, or being able to even define those things?
Well, she's doing exactly what she was employed to do. She was employed to obfuscate what gender is within our country and to undermine the social cohesion within the fabric of our society. She's there to further tear up the social contract. Now, I have a wife and 4 daughters. I clearly know what a woman is. And if you ask them, they would tell you what a woman is. And when you talk to any rational female out there, most of them are absolutely horrified when they see the discrimination commissioner like that answering questions in that way, because they know that this is subverting our Australian culture.
Yeah. Joel?
Mate, I don't know why people pay taxes anymore. I really don't. I mean, if this is the best we have to offer as a nation, to throw someone on $400,000 a year plus benefits.
Yeah, that's base salary. That's base salary.
It's actually insane. When I look at this, I don't know why people aren't in more outrage. And she's not even in the top tier of those being paid as bureaucrats. And look, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. If
Well,
you can't tell what,
you don't see these people, do you? Like they're just under the radar. They're like this is the silent bureaucracy. This is what they talk about when they talk about the deep state. It's not some weird conspiracy. It's just the bureaucrats that we don't hear about that are sitting there doing stuff all the time. And it's why we have to get through the apathy, the political apathy in Australia.
Well, I would
because
argue
we sit around going, I don't care about politics. I don't want to listen to that. I don't care about politics. Well, okay, but it's going on.
Yep.
They're doing little things and they get away with. This is the sort of thing they get away with,
Yep.
and it goes under the radar because nobody's sitting up going, I care about this and I don't want to.
Well, I personally believe that her role there is to get more female lawyers into government, into politics, and then they call that, gender equality. But what we're seeing here is the bureaucracy is being taken over by these female lawyers now. And I've got nothing against the ladies. Great, go get a law degree.
The left female lawyer. It's
The left-
it's not women.
And it's the
these
feminisation of
far-left
everything.
women.
It's the feminisation of everything. We live in a matriarchy disguised as a patriarchy to try and destroy the family unit within this country. That's what their objective is.
Bold words at Shallowchal.
yeah,
I do love having
Damien, when I look at this stuff seriously, I love how some parties have taken this approach. I believe Jared Rennick at the last election, One Nation at the last election, they have earmarked billions of dollars, tens, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of waste that has to be cut. We need a national audit of our government. We need a department of government efficiency, or a dingo, as some people call it, to go through Canberra, cut everything out, and actually highlight that and bring it to the interest of the people so they vote for those parties. We've got to take a chainsaw to Canberra. It's ridiculous, figuratively.
We need Javier Milei and his chainsaw, his metaphoric chainsaw.
Well, let's also remember as well that it's illegal. I own businesses. I've been in business for 16 years, employed hundreds of Australians. It's illegal for me to pay women less. It's illegal for me to discriminate in the workplace. All of this stuff, we've already got the laws in place.
Yeah, why do we need
what
a
is she
commissioner?
actually
What is
doing?
she doing?
Yeah, exactly
If
right.
you break the law, you go to police come.
Now,
that's the
she
system. You
leads
go to
a
court.
depart-
You don't need a commission.
She leads a department that has a budget. It's probably millions and millions of dollars.
It's 40 million. Okay, so I looked it up. This budget, this division is just the commissioner, the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, sits under the Human Rights Commissioner office. Another one I don't think we need. And you can't get the budget breakdown for her bit, but the whole thing is 41 million in 2022-23.
Yep.
41 million. Okay, to government people, that's not going to sound like it's going to change the world if we stop spending 41 million on this. But it's how many of these have we got? It's like you say, Joel. We need a chainsaw. We need a Doge type thing or a dingo to go in there and just knock it to bits, right?
We live in a society that has an epidemic of male suicide right now. What is her department doing about that? I can guarantee that isn't even in the top 10 list of things that they are dealing with.
Thank you. That is absolutely spot on, and it's.
Well, it's true. It's a leading killer of men aged between 20 and 45 right now.
Yeah.
You're 6 times more likely to suicide as a male in that age group. And then add veteran or ADF service into that as well. And then you triple the statistic again. The whole thing's a complete joke. And the fact that they're not talking about those kind of things, which are the real issues in our society, further undermining the family unit, the Christian values that we should all be sharing in this country. This is just another government department selling an ideology.
Yep. Exactly.
Shallowchal.
All right. So, Claire Chandler from the Liberal Party, I thought did a good job. She's only 35, Claire Chandler. She's the Shadow Minister for Cybersecurity and Science, and she's a senator from Tasmania. She also grilled the the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Anna Cody. Let's have a little look at that clip. Thanks, John.
You said in response to a question about the protection of women's rights under CEDAW that we are not one version of woman. Now, last I checked, a woman is an adult human female with XX chromosomes. So what did you mean when you said we are not one version of woman?
That there is a great diversity in who we are as women, so that includes culturally, racially marginalised women, First Nations women, women with disability, lesbians, trans women, non-binary. There are a range of people who identify as women who are women.
Did you mean that biological males can be women?
Men So I think that we have different language that perhaps you're using than I would use. So I don't understand the term biological men.
Right. This might be a short tranche of questions then.
Yeah, a very short tranche of questions. It should be a very short term for the Sex Discrimination Commission and Commissioner, period. I mean, that was directly, and these people are so immersed in this they don't see it, but everything she said there, all those distinctions of types of woman she made, relate to neo-Marxist identity politics and critical theory. This is an ideology. That is an ideology. That's not a reality that we're seeing there, right? And it's bizarre. We listen to it and go, this is nuts.
Yeah. Complete fracturing of his society. Let's break all these women down into these individual identities as well. You know,
Yeah, and they're all
where's the
gender,
cohesion?
sexuality, race, indigenous. It's not
Nothing that makes
not
society
an engineer and a lawyer and a teacher and a nurse and a mother, God forbid, a mother. None of that. It's just this is the way we're breaking it down. We're breaking it down on these gender and race and things. Joel, any thoughts on that?
I just don't know, like, why we don't look at their resume and just like rip it up and say, excuse me, you're not certified to do this job. You have been overeducated, and you've given us this resume. You're supposed to understand these basic concepts, and you're meant to be in charge of taking care of a lot of these men, and then you actually don't end up even knowing what the difference is. I mean, you are not certified to hold this job.
Yeah.
Get out.
Here's my issue with it, right? And again, I'm getting a bit excited here, but because this stuff really annoys me. But the problem is that we've got probably 70% of Australians are watching that clip like we are going, that is just garbage. Why do we even have this? And the other 30% are going, yes, she's exactly right. This is all very accurate and very correct. And it's mainly I hate to say it, Joel, it's mainly the younger demographic. But so just back to you. I mean, this is the Hannah Ferguson, Clementine Ford, Abby Chatfield space. As someone who's actually had to face those women online, what's your take on what's happening with the young?
Well, I'm pleased to say it won't be the last time I face those people. I've got a few things booked in, so I won't say who. But look, we have I hate to say it, but these people all have a vote, and that's not a woman thing. They're our fellow Australians, and sometimes I will be wrong. Sometimes they will be wrong. We have to make the argument. We have to do it with love, humour, and the best of intentions, and we need to bring these Aussies along the ride with us. Some of them will come around. Some of them will never come around. They're lost forever. But we got to keep trying, because there's a lot of young people in America and the UK. They're turning back to Christianity. They're turning back to the traditional values. There is a turning point with regards to that. And the beautiful women, especially in America and the UK, they have a very good finger on the pulse with regards to the culture. And that's why we're seeing this rise of so many trad wives in America and the UK. They're actually speaking up because they're realizing, hang on a sec, we need the men. We need women to actually speak up as well and shut down what's going on, because this affects women and kids as well.
At Joel Jamal. At Joel Jamal. Scott Challen. To you.
Spicy episode.
Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree with Joel, actually, because, post the 31st of August March for Australia, which is about ending mass immigration, but let's be clear here, it's a movement that's identifying where the fractures and the fissures are within this multicultural mess and soup that we've created. This is part of that. A lot of young people reaching out to me going, how do we get involved? How do we get activated? We don't like what's happening here. I'm really encouraged seeing that, because I think we're empowering a generation of younger people in our country. They will demonise that by saying it's the Americanisation of Australia.
Oh, yeah, we're getting
and
that
we saw
now.
those stories in the last
like
week.
Trump now.
You're just trying to
just
Americanise the
America.
politics. And I dismiss that completely.
Totally.
All we've done here is get people to recognise that Australia is an amazing place and there's nothing wrong with being proud of it. And we can raise great families, have a really stable society, a flourishing society, a thriving society. The discrimination.
The point is to give women choice.
100%.
It's
if you
not,
want to choose to be a stay-at-home mum, there's nothing wrong with that. So let's empower you to do that. 100%. And why not financially incentivise that? Instead of financially incentivising corporate daycare centres that are there and designed to to feed ideology into your children so that they're prepared to go into the soup that is the education sector in this country.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen. thank you for your time once again. Great to have you on the show. We'll have you back soon, I hope. Maybe after the marches, we can have a bit of a chat. So Sunday, October the 19th is the day. 12 o'clock.
Yep.
12 midday in every city and
bring your dancing shoes. Bring your dancing shoes in Brisbane. We're gonna rock. We're gonna have a great time.
Music. Marchforaustralia.org.
I'm very jealous about Brisbane. Very jealous. I wish it was just round the corner.
Well, we have to get you. Well, we should get you up here, mate.
A lot of people coming in.
Happening up
a lot of people coming from interstate for Brisbane for this one. It's going to be big.
Yeah, we are doing a national stream, so I'd like to think we're going to be covering Brisbane. But if I go up and I enjoy it for myself, no one will do the national stream, so I've got to do that. But look, I'm really looking forward to seeing Brisbane. It went off last time. People had a lot of fun, and short.
Sorry, mate. I almost forgot to plug your national stream, and I do recommend watching it. Joel did a great job last time of just getting cameras out in most cities. And then you were sitting there in that room, in that studio you've got there in Sydney, switching between computers all by yourself, and it was unbelievable. It was just a great way to watch it. So thank you for doing that, mate.
The only reason we're doing it is because we want to get in front of the narrative. The mainstream media wanted to paint it 100% as a Nazi thing. We streamed every speech across the country except Perth because they went for 2 hours. But we streamed every speech so that people could get the news, get it up front, and the media, they couldn't. We snookered them. We got 500,000 views. They couldn't paint it exactly how they wanted it. We just painted it as it was. And we saw that with the commentary. The Liberals were like, look, sure, there were some bad actors, but for the most part, there are a lot of people, a lot of immigrants, a lot of Aussies from all over Australia that said, hey, we've got to end immigration. And that's why we do the stream. It's not for me. It's not because we make a lot of money on it. We really don't. It's because we need truth and we need to get in front of the mainstream media and hold them accountable. And that will help with the pollies.
All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for being on the show once again. The website is marchforaustralia.org. Make sure you check it out to find out where the march is near you for Sunday, October 19. And that's all for this episode of The Other Side. Your analysis of the best news and commentary without the woke. We'll be back with episode 430. Our 30th episode for this year, next Friday, October 17. And clips from the show will be dropping throughout the week, as usual, on our YouTube, X, and Rumble channels. If you like what you see, please do support us. We are a voluntarily viewer-supported show. There are now 2 ways to support us financially. One's to go to our website at othersidetv.com.au and sign up to the exclusive side for less than $5 a month. Or you can now subscribe right on YouTube, if that's where you watch, by simply pressing the join button beside the subscribe button down below. That's easy. I think we're up to 299 followers on the website, and we've got about 38 or something on YouTube. That's not enough to keep going next year. We really need to get that up to about 1,000. So please help us out. It is pretty easy. The QR code at the bottom of the screen will take you to the website to sign up. And then YouTube doesn't take a cut, but it's totally your call. Either way is good. I'm Damien Coury. Bye for now.
The Other Side with Damien Coury is Australia's best independent news commentary show, bringing you up to speed on the issues that matter most. Simply subscribe for free on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button and bell, so you'll be notified whenever we post anything. And to really stay in touch, check out our independent website at othersidetv.com.au. You can sign up for free there too, or join the exclusive side and help support our show for less than $5 a month.